Did you say you were once an atheist?
I did, yeah.
And you're now a Christian?
Right.
Okay.
I had a personal crisis, and my first impulse was to reach out to God. And as I told your friend here, Ben...
But you said you're atheist. Why would you think of God if you're an atheist?
Well, I didn't begin as an atheist. Maybe I should have said that earlier in my life. I was raised as a Christian.
Oh, you already had that. Okay.
So yeah, you could say like in Hunt for Red October, you know, like when the program doesn't know what to do, it just runs home to mama.
So you went back to what you were indoctrinated
running home
in.
to mama. Okay, you can say that if you want to. You're welcome to say that, and don't think for a second. Having been an atheist for some time, don't think I didn't think that too.
Okay.
All right. What I wanted to impress your friend with was this. I've heard all the arguments. I've made the arguments. All right. And I wonder every day if what I've done was an irrational, unwarranted, baseless decision. Right. But what I've found is that there's a meaning here that I didn't find any other way. Okay, right? I gotta stop for a second. So you're saying, as an atheist, you could not find meaning in life? No, there is meaning. Don't get me wrong. But I said there was a meaning that I didn't find elsewhere. So I'm not saying it's entirely meaningless. Please don't hear me saying that. I just think it's on a different basis and it's of a different quality. That's all. Quality? Yeah.
So are you saying that this believing in God is a higher quality than not?
Well, yeah, from my experience, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, from my experience, yeah. All right. And I wouldn't be a Christian if I thought otherwise. I mean, we wouldn't make a decision if we didn't think it were the best one, right? Yeah. So like Socrates says, you know, no one's gonna. Like Socrates said, you're gonna act on the belief you believe are most correct, right? So necessarily, right. So that gave you a boost. In other words, by turning to God. If you like.
Yeah. And you feel like you're a better person?
A better person? No, of course not.
Since you came to
I don't think I'm a better person. No, I think I'm the same person I always was, except I have more in a different hope. That's all. A different what? A different hope. Hope. Okay, so your hope would be in eternity? Of equality, yeah. Eternity, if you're thinking of cartoonish images of heaven, no, I don't believe that either.
But you believe in the afterlife, immortality?
I believe in it. I believe in being with God. Okay, if you've ever read Dante's Inferno? A little bit. Okay, so if you go all the way up, you read the Paradise. Not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people read all 3 books. If you read that book, and to behold God, all right, that's what it's about, okay? It's not about harps and angels and stuff like that. It's about seeing the ultimate, right? It's the ultimate. The ultimate. What is the ultimate? The ultimate reality.
Wow, that's quite a story. Before we dissect this, I want to introduce our special guest, Phil Ferguson.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. Just a quick little background on me. I've been an atheist activist for about 12, 14 years. Been on the board of the Secular Student Alliance, Atheist Alliance International, and recently, a couple years ago, I guess, was the treasurer for the Reason Rally 2016. I have my own little investment business, and there's a lot to unpack from that video.
There's a lot going on.
The ultimate reality, it kind of sounds like Stargate or the Matrix, you know, when you wake up and you realize that you're in a simulation and there's a whole nother level playing, a whole nother level, a better way of seeing the world. That was pretty messed up.
Yeah, let's start. I asked him, and he said he had a personal crisis, and that's what kind of blew my mind, being an atheist. And then he had a personal crisis, and he said that his first impulse was to reach out to God.
A lot of people in prison are reaching
for something. They can't find it in this world.
I really would like to talk to him personally after seeing that clip. What does he think an atheist is? I'm not sure, because if like you said, that you were clearly shocked, you're trying not to be shocked, but you're clearly shocked that if I say I'm an atheist and then I had a problem, so I reached out to God, wait, I can't.
It doesn't make sense.
Put that a little bow on that. That doesn't make sense. So that was weird to start with.
Yeah, but he said that, I asked him, is it because of your past? Yeah, the reason he reached out, he already knew, like the prodigal son, that parable.
And I would, you know, if someone tells me they're an atheist, I accept it. Unless they do something that gives me reason to doubt what they just said. He gave me lots of reason to doubt that he was an atheist. Now, Have there ever been atheists that became religious? Of course. But I would really wish, to dig into more of that. But, we have the clip. There's plenty of other things to talk about in the clip that he actually did.
We should have got his phone number for
you.
Had him on your show.
Maybe you could have brought him back.
Yeah, you have him call in here that you watch the clip and then have them explain it again. But, there's more meaning.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, I find there's more meaning here that I didn't find in the other way. In other words, I was trying to get him to explain to me, what do you mean by meaning? And he said, no, I find meaning in this life, but it's a better quality.
Yeah.
Everyone has meaning. I mean, even if you're a believer, you're going to have your meaning, but it's going to be dictated to you.
Yeah, often.
That it's a little different.
And it's one of those things that if he thinks he has more meaning, maybe he does. Doesn't mean he's right, though.
True.
I mean, it's like the old argument, the drunk is very happy.
The drug addict is very happy, reaching for comfort, finding it often.
And if they say, well, I'm high, I'm very happy, so you're saying I shouldn't be high. Yeah, that's actually what I'm saying, because your perceived happiness might actually be happiness, but there's other complications and baggage that comes with that, just like with the vast majority of religions.
Yeah.
It's a different level.
There's problems that come with that.
The transcendent, right? The above and beyond that they say exist, that brings them to that higher level. So do you hear this type of dialogue with your activism, Phil?
Oh, all the time. It's never ending. I'm just thinking about one conference that I went to many years ago, and I often go a day early and stay a day late if I can to a conference because it's more quiet and there's fewer people and you can have deep, long conversations. And several of us were sitting in the bar, and a young lady, maybe 35, 38 years old, ended up sitting next to me at this bar that wasn't at the conference. It just happened to be a person doing their job, traveling, and we started talking about religion. And at some point, she told me that she doesn't think that the Bible is the Word of God, that she doesn't think that Jesus actually existed. And I said, wait. You had said that you're a Christian.
Yeah.
And she's like, I am. And I'm like,
not a real Christian.
Different levels.
I'm again having trouble. And it's one of those things that maybe she was spiritual, not religious, but she didn't want to lose the Christian moniker because in this country, if you're not a Christian, you could create problems for yourself and your job and your family. So she was free to question and have doubts, but she wasn't free in her own mind to not use the Christian label. So I found that fascinating, and did this guy in the video at some point use the atheist label, and what was his understanding of the word atheist? Yeah. Does that mean he's angry at God?
He said he was an atheist for some time. We didn't really push him as to how many days or hours that was.
Yeah.
And you can only do so much on the street, but if I've had people tell me that I was an atheist for a while, I was angry at God. It's like, well, if you're angry at God, I don't think you fit my definition of atheist. I don't think you fit the denotative dictionary definition of atheist, but whatever.
I think with this guy, we're dealing with someone who has an amalgamation of a lot of different beliefs. He sounded a little New Agey. He sounded a little bit like he was reading the Greek philosophers quite a bit, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it kind of was a mixture of a lot of different things. And then he talked about hope. He has hope. And, of course, we know, if we know the Bible, he's talking about the blessed hope and the glorious appearing of God and so forth, that writings in the New Testament. Most Christians would say, now abideth those three things, faith, hope, and love. So I don't think this guy knows his Bible very well. So his hope, and I asked him if it was more into eternity, like heaven. And then remember what he said. He said it's not a cartoonist image of heaven.
How does he know, really?
Because he read Dante.
That's what he...
That's what we didn't get into that in this video, but he goes on to talk about Dante's Inferno, and there's a trilogy of books, and he's trying to get to Dante's perfect vision and ultimate reality.
And it's a fascinating thing. I don't know if we discussed this before the show, but I'm almost fluent in Italian.
Okay.
Dante's Inferno was written in Italian. Now, when I say it was written in Italian, it was written in the version of Italian from like 400 or 500 years ago. And Dante's Inferno is intentionally designed to be an allegory to mock and pick fun at a lot of political and famous historical figures within Italy and around in a surrounding Mediterranean.
They are featured.
And put into an image, fantasy that the author has. It's not like he was the first person to go, okay, here's how heaven, hell, paradise, and everything really are, and I'm just going to put random characters in it. Yeah. It's a fucking work of fiction. And so if his vision of heaven is from reading that book, cool, but he might as well read Harry Potter and have an understanding of the one who shall not be named from that book. It doesn't mean that it's any more real than anything else.
Yeah. I wanted to say to him, if your God was real, he wouldn't need you to argue and debate for his existence.
He wouldn't need Dante's
wouldn't even need
vision.
any of that.
Yeah.
You just
he wouldn't
show
need,
me.
Yeah, he could just come down and say, hey, here's the facts.
So here's a weird case, and I almost never say this, that his vision of Christianity is more distorted because he read a second book.
Why read another book?
Yeah, why read another book? But it's fascinating what people hear and learn from the people around us. I often wonder if a 7-year-old figured out that Santa wasn't real, but everyone earnestly insisted that Santa was real for their entire life, would they at some point go, I guess Santa is real, and just not fight it because it's not worth the hassle? A lot of times I see that with religion.
So they'd all be Santanists?
Satanists, yeah.
Satanists. Instead of Satanists, Satanists, yeah. I would have loved to ask him and get into more detail about what his personal crisis was.
We didn't pick that scab.
Yeah.
And, you know.
I should have. I should have been a little more patient with him.
Well, maybe. It's always a question that I had a younger relative, I don't want to get into too many details, that when a family member had passed away, this younger relative told me that they are now an atheist because what kind of God would let this person die? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, that's not good enough.
God lets everyone die. Yeah. There's no immortal believers out there. Not that I've heard or seen any. Yeah,
so I said being mad at God for killing somebody is not really being an atheist. So I gave them some books to read, and then they thought about it and studied. And a couple years later, they're like, "Yeah, this doesn't hold water." But I didn't want them to say, like, this guy maybe
that might
something happened, and he's pissed off, and I have no idea. So I'm just making shit up. But so was he. So at some point, he decides, I'm an atheist, doesn't think about it anymore, and then something happens, a personal problem, stress and anxiety, and he goes back to what he had before.
Yeah.
So that bad reason for being an atheist possibly was,
Well, all of us, at least I am, I don't know about you two fine gentlemen, but I do things for bad reasons more often than I'd like. And probably the worst thing is road rage in the car.
Uh-oh. Shall I pray for you, Phil?
Yeah. When someone cuts you off or does something, there's that visceral response, and then I have to click in the rational brain to go, this is not in my own best interest.
The amygdala, then bring it over to the front part of the brain.
It's easy as humans to do something for inadequately rational reason.
Yeah.
It happens because you're a human.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, we all have crises in our life. It's how we deal with them. It just, I guess I get a little bit impatient, especially when I talk to people that were once, they said they were an atheist. And I'm assuming that if you're an atheist, and we know now it's true, not all atheists are really rational in a lot of different things either, right?
9/11.
So, what's that?
I didn't say 9/11.
9/11.
I didn't say that.
Conspiracy.
Skepticism is a beautiful thing. And not believing could be taken to an extreme that you don't believe we landed on the moon. You don't believe the Earth is round. Whatever.
Should we, whenever someone says they used to be an atheist, whenever they use that phrase, say, that's cool. I accept what you're telling me. You're not calling them a liar. I accept what you're telling me. Can you define the word atheist in context to what that meant to you at the time that you were an atheist?
Right.
So you at least have an idea where.
Well, there's no organization that you take your test and send it in to the headmaster, and he scores it and says, yes, you have the scores to get into the Atheist Vanguard.
So instead of American atheist, it's American former atheists. What is that?
I like
club?
that.
Yeah. What do they stand for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a guy, and I was saying a minute ago how sometimes I get impatient with people that I consider, I just met the guy, but I assume that he was a very intelligent man.
He
seemed like a very nice guy. and how he had a crisis and he had to turn to something invisible and supernatural to help him through the crisis, where we know in reality, our reality hopefully is not too skewed, we know in reality we actually have ways to cope with problems and crises. It's called counseling, it's called friends and family members, and so forth. Yes.
Alcohol.
There are some recreational
There are ways to
substances.
cope with it. But it proves that he went right back to what he was told, just like the parable in the Bible, the prodigal son.
I think he did, because it doesn't, you know, when you look at it this way, how harmful would it be for me to do heroin to escape my problems? Maybe how harmful, smoke some weed, whatever. But could there possibly be any harm in going back to God, David? Like, what could happen?
Harm?
Harm.
To him personally, I could get into a lot of different
It might affect how he votes.
Well, that's an important
That affects
one.
all of us.
Yeah.
That belief, that's very important.
Yeah.
We were discussing that earlier.
Because the unfortunate thing is, once you join that group, I mean, if the only thing that changed is I went from not believing in God to I believe in God, if that's the only thing, I have to find a new fucking hobby, because I don't have a problem with anybody. But it's never just that.
Right.
There's other things that go with it. Women shouldn't do this. Men shouldn't do that. You can't be gay. You have to go to church. You have to do this. There's
Currently,
always shit that goes with it.
There's a lot of laws concerning what women can and can't do, and the harm comes when you need a medical procedure and you can't get it done because some guys decided, no, I need to tell you what you can do with your body.
Yeah. So the danger, it comes right back down to, and
There's a lot
I've
of
said
dangers,
this
in
for
my
years,
opinion.
This is a major root of a lot of the problems we have.
Magical thinking.
This is one of them right here.
And what is that? That's a Bible?
This is called the Adult Book of Fairy Tales, Fables, Absurdities, and Atrocities.
That's a long name for Bible.
It is, yeah.
It's very
that's
specific,
long.
though.
It's very specific. I've had that on there for years.
Don't confuse it with a lot of other books.
Yeah.
But this one definitely, Adult
Well, if
Fairy
you
Tales,
adopt that
Fables.
magical thinking, you can get into a lot of trouble because you think reality is a way that it really isn't.
I for 5 years, I pretended to be a Missouri Synod Lutheran. Maybe a whole other segment for that. But
Okay.
After I would no longer pretending, friends of ours' son became confirmed, at 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
And they invited us to go, and we're good friends, so we went to see his confirmation. And after it was over, one of the elders sat down with me in the lunchroom when we had cookies and red punch. And he says, Phil, I don't see you at church much anymore. And I said, well, that's because I'm an atheist and I was pretending. Sorry about that. And he says, I can prove to you that God is real.
Oh, wow. I'd like to hear that.
Oh, what a relief that would be.
Yeah, or see
That
it.
would fix a lot of things, man. So go for it. And so he makes a flawed argument. I point out the flawed argument. He makes another flawed argument. I point out another flawed argument. We go back and forth for a few minutes. Someone else sits down at the table next to us. And they got their napkin with a couple cookies and their red punch. And they sit down, like, oh, what are Phil and Elder so-and-so saying? They sit down and they go, oh, shit.
It's about to get real.
I don't want to hear this. I don't want to be here, but I can't just get up and leave because that would be socially awkward. How long do I have to sit here? Yeah, no, that should do it. And then they just get up without saying a word. And we went for maybe a total of 15, 20 minutes. And then he says, well, you know, it comes down to faith. And before that had stymied me, but this time, by maybe some divine inspiration, I had a retort. And I said, oh, don't give up now. You were doing so well. Yeah. He goes, I'm not giving up. And I go, yes, you are. Look, you're an adult. I'm an adult. You told me you had evidence. You provided me not evidence for 15 minutes. And now you decided to change tactic and say it's all about faith. If it was all about faith, fucker, you should have started with that.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You actually genuinely in your own head thought that you had evidence. Only after 15 minutes of putting out bullshit arguments and lies did you realize you don't have evidence, and you went to a totally different tact that if you thought that was sufficient, you would have led with it. Yeah. So you just gave up. And he just stared at me and he goes, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah. The evidence for the existence of God is insufficient. If there were sufficient evidence, there would be no need for, bingo, faith.
Right.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 and 2. That's all they have.
And you know that what is it, the things not seen and believed.
The evidence
Yeah.
for things not seen.
That is the most vacuous line, and when someone quotes it to me, I can't help but guffaw in their face. That's not meaningful. That if you think that's meaningful,
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about your ability to process reality.
But some atheists, some Christians will concede and actually admit, I've had them through the years, actually admit, I cannot demonstrate or manifest God in reality. It's all on faith. And they admit it.
You know what? Radiation burns are the evidence for things unseen.
Yes. Wind.
Hey, we need to get real with this.
Wind is things unseen.
Yeah.
And I don't like, anytime you can replace faith with the word confidence, one should do so. Because it makes it much clearer what you're talking about. Like someone will say, do you have faith that chair will hold you? I have confidence. It's not real high because I'm kind of fat. So, but I'm pretty confident that chair is going to hold me. But I allow for the possibility that this time it won't.
We know what a chair is. We've seen a chair. I've seen a man sit in a chair and break it.
Yeah. That's the difference of trust faith and belief faith. We have trust faith, right? We know, like trust. The chair.
I think you guys actually use the word trust. That's good. I like confidence a little bit better, but trust in confidence, yeah.
Either one.
That's a better, gooder.
A gooder.
Understood.
Gooderist?
Understood and worded. So people can understand what you mean, but faith is so schmermy because it shifts and it morphs and it goes from confidence to confidence without any support. So if you have faith, confidence without support, how do you know what it is you have faith in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's the trickiness of it, you know? You just have to believe before you can experience all the magic.
You got to believe before you can believe.
Yeah, you got to believe before you can believe. And this guy, he was real wrapped up in it, man. And I feel sorry for whatever drove him from his logic and reason to clutch on so tightly to the fairy tales. But he did manage to read a few books of Dante, and he's feeling really good about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. What was his proof of a higher quality of meaning?
Oh, he gave me a lot of stuff. He was talking about beholding God is what it's all about. It's about seeing the ultimate reality.
Ultimate reality, not like VR.
I never got a chance to get into that with him. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean ultimate reality? You said are you visually seeing God? Are you in heaven with God?
He wants to pursue it because there's a story he read that says it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome that this life right now pales in comparison, and you might not even give two shits about it because you really need to be focusing on that ultimate reality.
I think at least in this case, I'm delighted that he read The Divine Comedy instead of Atlas Shrugged. So there's one little bit of light there.
But overall, he seemed like a really nice guy. He seemed like intelligent guy, nice guy. Just, again, he went right back to that child indoctrination, the first thing he knew.
It's powerful. Powerful stuff.
It's hard stuff.
Very comforting.
It is very comforting.
The atheist can't give you that level of comfort as a promise for the rest of your life. But we can give you community. You know, we can give you empathy, acceptance. We're human beings, and we're going to come together to solve human problems. And that's really all we can do. And that's why we do it, man. We get out on the streets, get these stories, and we break it down.
We do. And it's a lot of fun. And we hear the same arguments over and over again.
Indeed.
Same things. Because they really don't have any evidence, so they have to keep talking. It's all conjecture. So, well, we're going to wrap it up, Ben?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Atheist Vanguard. Have a good day.